When the Epic M's, the Epic X's, and even 1 or 2 Scarlets started coming out, we began noticing something in terms of a strange type of flare happening with the camera. It's as if the light was hitting the CMOS sensor at extreme angles and then causing a strange type of flare. We figured out, or RED figured out, that this was due to light bouncing around inside the housing itself. It was determined that a bushing would need to be made for the camera in order to stop this flare from happening. And of course, RED, being who they are, came out with a fix, designed it, and sent it out free of charge to anybody that was exhibiting these characteristics but did not have any type of permanent fix built into the camera. At the time that this video is being made, RED has released out this bushing, which is right here, along with this tool for installation by the user. I'm sure, though, if you wanted to, you could send it back to RED and they would take care of it for you also. And there will be a permanent fix designed into future cameras moving forward. I would suggest that you contact your bomb squad rep and find out if your camera needs this bushing or not. The email address that you can contact RED at is at the bottom of this screen. The purpose of this video is to show you how to install the bushing so that your problem can get fixed, and we'll show you some footage when this is over of what it looks like after the bushing is installed. All right, so let's get started. Here's our Epic, and we are going to start off removing the lens mount. The bushing itself is right here. It's this black square piece of metal, okay, and a very small Torx wrench. Please make sure on the black metal that you do not touch the inside of the square. It's been painted with a special optically flat black paint. The reflectivity of the oil on your fingers could cause you some grief later on. I also want to point out, while it's sitting here and it's so easy to see, that as you can see, this thing is angled. The top is wider, the bottom is narrower. Okay. Also, you'll see a couple of dings in mine, just basically where the outside of the paint may have rubbed off a little bit. You will probably not see that on yours. That's because we had to train a bit to be able to do this installation video. My problem, just ignore it. But what I want to explain here that's important is that when you put this bushing in, the narrow end will go in towards the camera, and the wider end is pointing away from the camera. So if the white plane here was your camera body, it would drop in just like that, okay? If you put it in like this, that is wrong. It's going to cause you all sorts of problems. That is how we're going to be placing it into the camera body, all right? So let's go ahead and get started with the process. Here we have our lens mount on our Epic. Open up. And we're going to go ahead and remove the mount. Now, keep in mind, it's the same 4 screws doing the same thing, whether this is the PL mount or whether it's a Canon mount. Now, I also want to point out that I am doing this sitting up. In other words, the camera's not lying on its back. And I'm sure that we all agree that it would be easier to install this if we have the camera lying on its back facing up. This is true, however, you run the danger of dropping screws into the sensor area and damaging your OLPF filter. Now we take off the lens mount, and you will see some tamper tape here. You can use tweezers if necessary. Go ahead and take the tape off. In my case, it's easy enough to get off with my fingers, so I'm not going to worry about it. All right. Next up is we need to remove these 4 screws with a small Torx wrench that was sent with us, all right? So let's go ahead and start that next. Just take your time, be careful. This is really where you would want the camera to sit up, because this is the point where, if you're not careful, you could have an issue with the screw falling into the sensor housing. All right, so just take them off one at a time. It is harder to do it this way, especially if you're doing a video and I can't get in the way of the camera. It's really hard. But this is how RED recommends you do it, and so this is how we're going to do it. I've seen a couple of people already swapping these things out, laying the camera on its back. And I understand that, believe me. I've even been known to be guilty of that from time to time. But because I'm showing people how to do it, I want to be responsible. All right, my last screw right here. All right, and you can see my frame is already itching to come off here. Itching to come off here. All right, so there's that, and pop. There is the frame. There you go, and that puppy is now off. So the next step is to put the bushing into the camera. All right, remember, the narrow end is going to go into the camera. Like I said, be careful. I'm not touching the inside. Don't you do it either. It should fit very simply. Just put it in there, seat it in, and there it goes. Narrow end pointing in, wide pointing out. It should look like that if you've done it correctly. All right? Now we're going to put the frame back on. Keep in mind, we might want to tilt it back a little bit just to give it some, get gravity working for us here a little bit, right? Seat one of the screws in. Once you get that first screw in, it's going to be a lot easier. All right? And for now, I don't want to tighten these guys at all. I just want to get them in. Okay, so just do that. And put in the remaining 4. But do me a favor, will you? Put them in an X formation. All right? Don't put them in a clockwise formation. Put in corner to corner when you're doing this. All right, and that's how we're going to tighten it as well. All right, try it again so you can see what I'm doing here. It's hard. There we go. Yeah, I'm not tightening at all. I'm just basically just want to get them seated. There we go. Okay, and then the last one. Found if you push in with your thumb, it tends to stay there. So, all right, so there we go. Now we have pretty much gotten them all in. Now what I want to do is I'm going to want to make it finger tight, okay? Using the end like it is here, okay? I want to just tighten that one. Not tight, not a lot. Notice I'm doing it in a diagonal formation. Okay, now we're going to torque it. We're going to use this end. And the way you do it is if it's pointing north at 12 o'clock, turn it to 1 o'clock, like that. Bang. That's as tight as it needs to be, okay? That's okay. Remember, it should already be finger tight, right? Now, some of the screws aren't lining up, but you get the idea. It's the same distance. There. Now I have them torqued about right. It's going to, if you do it, it's from 12 o'clock noon, 1 o'clock is how much you want to torque each screw in a diagonal formation once it's finger tight. All right? So there you go. The new bushing's installed. A little air, get things off of it. Now we're going to put the lens mount on. Okay, the lens mount follows the same theory. This is actually from another video. I'm going to go ahead and show you what the heck. The lens mount follows the same theory. Tight with your finger. Okay. And diagonally, remember? There you go. It'll come down to the other hole down at the bottom here. Okay. And last but not least, final screw. Okay. Now I'm going to tighten each one diagonally a little bit. There. 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 And finally. And there we go. That is how you install the bushing. As you can see here from this footage, it's drastically reduced in terms of the flaring. You see how before flaring was really bad, and now post, after you put the bushing in, it's 10 times better. If you have any questions, your first stop should be your rep at the Bomb Squad at RED102.com. However, if you have any minor questions, you can feel free to contact me. I'll help any way I can.